I think issue of Palestine is the most important issue that humanity is facing today. So it is important to hear from those who are directly affected by this issue. We have today with us two guests, both originally from Palestine. We have Sister Hala Evans. She's academic and she lives here in Britain, but I have seen her very passionately speaking about Palestine in meetings, and I think it's important for us, all of us, to understand what is going on in Palestine. Though we see those horrible pictures of destruction of Gaza, we see those children, holding bowl for food, and it breaks, our heart that humanity is doing this today in the 21st century. And this is why I think it's important for all of us to have a deeper understanding of this issue. And secondly, if we as an individual, I think if we stay silent what is going on in Palestine, and we don't say nothing, we don't speak out, then I think our humanity is dead. I sometimes honestly tell you the truth, can't even sleep at night when I see this destruction. And unfortunately, world leaders, so-called leaders, who just pay lip service and do nothing, and they give this solution and that solution, I think, God give them guidance. That's all I can say. So, to start with, I asked Sister Hala Evans, we've seen over last 2 years what happened in Gaza. We've seen the Israeli version that it is terrorism, because they always, very cleverly, say that it's a terrorism, but who is the terrorist? Who is the real terrorist who displaced people in 1947 from their own land and established a state which has no right to exist there? But you see the world as a duplicate. World is a duplicate, world, one rule for one people and one rule for other people. So, sister, I'm going to ask you, first thing is, we see now the ceasefire is there, but still people are suffering. What do you think, what is the solution to, all this, what is happening in Palestine?
All right. First, thank you for Takbeer TV for inviting me to be here. I really appreciate it. To start with, the ceasefire never meant peace. So it's only stopping the fire. Although with the ceasefire, which has been almost 40 days now, still the killing continues in Gaza. More than 70 people had been killed in Gaza since the ceasefire started. How do we see the future as Palestinian? It's not very bright for the time being. It's very hard to start from Gaza, where the ceasefire is. Gaza is completely destroyed. 93% of Gaza's houses are destroyed. All the academic institutions, including higher institutions and universities, are completely destroyed. All the 36 hospitals in Gaza are completely destroyed. If you want to build any civilization anywhere in the world, you need two things which are very important. First, you need education. Second, you need health. Third, you need a society. More than, according to statistics now, more than 100,000 people of Gaza has been killed in the last 2 years. Actually, statistics says more. If they want to do more statistics, they say more than 400,000 people has been killed. Majority of them are children. So it's a society which been completely destroyed. More than 1,500 families from Gaza has been wiped from the civil registry. More than 2,500 people in Gaza are the only survivors of their family. majority of them are children. So how the hell can peace happen when we have crisis, human crisis like that? And also adding to that, the 2 days ago situation, which called human trafficking. People in Gaza has been trafficked by the Israelis to South Africa through Kenya. And we discovered today in the news in Al Jazeera, they said actually there was another plane which has 173 people which has been trafficked to South Africa before. And the plane 2 days ago has 153 people who knows no destinations where they're going to go. And also they paid lots of money, between $1,500 to $5,000 per person, to ended up in a country where they have no idea where they were going. Luckily, South Africa has been very humane to accept these people there. But having said all of these doom and gloom, there's always hope in the world. And the world is moving. And this is because of all the civil movements. It's because of the demonstrations, because of work you guys do. It's because of the solidarity campaign with Palestinians. Every little things you guys do really helps people in Gaza and people also in the West Bank.
Thank you very much. Viewers, as you see what sister has said, and I think it's a very important message, that though we sometimes feel hopeless as individuals, that look, it's the government, the American, the most powerful country in the world, the European Union, another powerful bloc, doesn't do anything for Palestine. What can we do? I think each individual is responsible and each individual can do a bit. And that's, I think, is an important message. Brother Abdeen, I want to ask you, we hear, the American solution. First it was two-state solution, then it came one-state solution. Now it's removing all the population of Palestine from Palestine and send them, somewhere in Egypt. I mean, how dare can a country suggest such a solution? I mean, why can't we remove all the Americans from American subcontinent and send them back to Europe and empty, America for the native Indians? Can we do that?
No, of course not.
So how dare, the Americans propose these plans that somehow, remove population of Palestine from Palestine, and then, I don't know what they're trying to build. So how do the Palestinian people themselves, what do they think that, what is the, I mean, I know their struggle is carrying on since 1947, and they'll carry on, I don't know how long, till the issue is resolved to their wishes. But what do you think at the moment? What's the thinking on the ground level?
Actually, for our bright future as a Palestinians, we have to understand the situation. And to understand the situation in Palestine, we have to understand the history for what has happened for Palestinians within the last 100 years, at least 100 years. So people in this time actually have seen the reality of Zionists and their massacres against Palestinians. At the same time, that was happening within the last 100 years for Palestinians, since 100 or 1000 or 1920 in last century. All these massacres has happened according to the ideology that Israeli people are carrying, which is not just focusing on Palestine, it's focusing on the whole area in the Middle East, from Nile to Furat. And this is the reality of those people who are occupying Palestine now. They will never stop to evacuate Palestine from Palestinians. They will keep running to evacuate the whole area or to control the whole area in the Middle East. So in other side, the Palestinians believe that this land is their land and they will never give up until they get their right to return to this land. And this is the major issue for Palestinians, and that's what they believe. They don't listen to any other suggestion, either from America or from any other party. That's the only solution for Palestinians will be built on four things. First of all, liberate the prisoners, Palestinian prisoners, who are around 10,000 prisoners in Israeli prisons, lift the siege on Gaza, and the return of right for Palestinians to their homes and lands, not just to the lands that occupied in 1967, but also the lands that occupied in 1948. Myself, my father was born in Nablus, which was occupied in 1967, and my mother was born in Jaffa, which occupied in 1948. And for me as a Palestinian, I have the right to go back to both lands, to my mom land in 1948 and to the land in 1967. So I believe that Palestinians have no choice except returning to their lands and homes in all Palestine. And then Israeli people should find a solution for themselves by returning to the countries that they came from, either from France, Germany, UK, America, Russia, Ukraine, Poland. It's their problem. It's not Palestinian problem. And that's what we believe as Palestinians. Without this solution, without getting the right of Palestinians to return to their land, it will not be actually any peace process on Palestine. That's it.
From Kashmir, you are a part of Kashmir struggle, and Kashmir itself since 1947 has gone through similar kind of occupation and displacement as the Palestinian people have, and it has a direct link with Britain because Britain was the power that laid foundation for India to occupy Kashmir. So people of Kashmir are also suffering, and yet we see here in Britain never accepts responsibility. The ruling elite in Britain never accept responsibility that they've done something wrong. British Raj is described as wonderful, British achievement. But did you know that when the British went to India, India was the most successful economy in the world. The kingdom of India was the richest kingdom with, 20 billion surplus, wealth in the kingdom. And when the British left, they were, 3 billion in debt, the Indian. So somehow, this wonderful, painted colonial British past, taught in the history is not true. Unfortunately, nobody, tries to find the truth because, you go look at the textbooks and you see, what is written by those who done all the wrong things. So what I'm asking Farooq Qadri Sahib is that here similar story is being told about Palestine. That, the Zionist movement which started in Europe has a right, somehow that, these people have a right to go back to Israel because historically. I mean, I could say that my grandfather, was a ruler of China. Can China become mine? No, it can't. Farooq Qadri sir, what do you say on this?
We are thankful. Good afternoon and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We are thankful to the management of Takbeer TV. They have very kindly let us have a time to highlight the issues, in Palestine and also in Kashmir as well. which is a burning issue at the moment, the division in Kashmir. First, I'll talk about the Kashmir. Division in Kashmir was not fair that time, and the division was wrong. And since then, we Kashmiris are struggling for the freedom. For that's not the land dispute, that's the humanity and the people who are living there. The India has forcefully occupied the territory which shouldn't be, and the government of British should intervene and sort this problem out. Just like that in Palestine, the peoples all suffering over there. They are fighting, but there is a principle of fights as well. They all, they displacing the peoples from one place to another place, and they don't have anything to eat. They have no medicine facility, they had no water facility. A gentleman went from Britain to over there, and he has seen that due to the cruelty and due to the behavior, peoples are suffering there, and there should be solution, because they and reset up the territory to rebuild the area so the peoples can live in peace.
Sister Ara, we've been protesting for Palestine's right over the years. I mean, like you said, that there's a lot of civil movement that supports the Palestine issue, and it is right, because lawfully, legally, Palestinian people are lawfully owner of their land. Lawfully, that world has to be ruled by some law, some governance, by some principle, and under those principles, Palestinian people have right to a state there. But unfortunately, what we have today, this world is a disorder. A disorder is because powerful countries, for their economic benefits, they do all kind of wrong things. So how can we, build a mass movement here in this country? Even, Britain here today, I mean, you look at Keir Starmer's government, still on one hand they say Israel is doing wrong, and on the other hand they keep supplying arms to the Israelis. On one hand they say Israel is doing something bad humanitarianly, then still, a close link is kept with Israel. I mean, why is it this hypocrisy? Because if Russia can be boycotted economically, Russia can be boycotted by their sports, why can't we do same with Israel? Because if a state is behaving badly, how you put the state right? You can't just reward it and say, oh, carry on, you're doing good work.
Actually, demonstrations and civil movements is very, very important for two reasons. Reason number one, changing the narrative. For a very, very long time, the Israeli narrative for a land without people, for a people without land, most of the West bought this. And most of the West, including Germany and UK and USA, solved the Jewish problem after the Holocaust on the expense of Palestinians. Of course, Israel has the right to exist as any other countries, but not on the expense of the Palestinians, who had nothing to do with the Holocaust. They didn't contribute, they have no roles in it. The second thing which is very important is Israel, yes, they have the power, they have the weapons, they have the support of the governments, but we're Palestinians, we have the determinations, we have the what we call it in Arabic, the sumud, which is steadfastness, and we will stay there. And we are there to stay from generations to generations. My family are from the West Bank, from the city of Ramallah. Fortunately, my family stayed in their land and never left. So I never experienced the life of refugees, which vast majority of Palestinians in the West Bank, 25% of the West Bank are refugees from 48, and in Gaza, 75% of Gazan populations are refugees. Having said all of that, the narrative started to change for lots of reasons. One of them is because people suddenly realize this narrative, which has been buying for a long time, It's not true. Second, for the heroism of people who speak the truth to power, and they don't hesitate to say the truth wherever they go. And that include the people who went either in medical missions, or the people who went to Fertella, or the people who lead demonstrations in London and everywhere in the area. The third thing is the social media. So many of us were stuck with the mainstream media. And unfortunately, the mainstream media, and that has been proved by the UN missions, human rights missions, and other organizations, which they say it's complicit, most of the mainstream media. However, the social media, the Palestinian activists and their supporters were very, very active in the social media, and that changed the public opinion. I've been in UK for 30 years, between studying and working. I never ever seen as many flags, Palestinian flags in UK, as much as I seen in the last 2 years. The Palestinian flag became the symbol for freedom and fights. Palestinians have the right, by UN laws, have the right to resist the occupation. The occupation will never ever, through history, if you look through history, the occupiers will never ever give freedom to the occupied. The occupied have to resist. And according to the UN Charter, they have to resist in all means possible, including military resistance. They have the right to, by law, no matter what we think, but they have the law. I will end it with saying that peace will never materialize without justice. If we don't have justice where everybody is treated the same, regardless of the color of their skin, their religion, where they come from, their ethnicity, whatever it is, if they don't have the same rights and the same duty in the same government, the same geographical land, we'll never ever have peace. Palestine is the Holy Land, and the Holy Land is for Muslim, Christian, and Jewish people. So we have Jewish Palestinians still there, and they are most welcome to stay.
In a lot of demonstration in London, I have met a lot of people from Jewish background who were supporting the cause of Palestine, and they said what Israeli state is doing in Palestine is totally wrong and it's unlawful. I mean, they themselves are, supporting. But anyway, I was going to ask you, as you mentioned, that you are from West Bank. I have heard that some children, children, when a situation arises like a war or conflict, children suffer the most.
Yep.
And same true in Palestine. The children have suffered a lot. Imagine, a city being destroyed. Imagine, there's no food available for the children and so forth. They have fear, living in fear. You can't have like education and things like that. So these children are welcome, in England. I think they're coming for a few weeks, and I think they'll be visiting Birmingham. Could you just tell us something about those children, and why do you think it's a good for them to come here and see something better than what they're seeing back home?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking me about that, because I'm involved in this project. This project has been going on for a few years, actually. And the children for this year, and I meet the children who came last year, and I'm involved with the children who are coming this year. So we're going to have 8 children, 4 girls and 4 boys, age 13 to 15 maximum. And these children are supported by NGOs here in UK. So we're hosting them in Birmingham for three days. From speaking to people who organize it here in UK, an organization called CADFA, and in Palestine they have a coordinator in Palestine, in the West Bank. So what they do, they get these kind of poor children from different cities and refugee camps from the West Bank, to give them an opportunity to see a different world and give them a break from the occupation and give them the chance to see that life is not what they're experiencing over there. And I give you an example. For example, we're having 2 children coming from Hebron. Hebron has been going through hell and back for a very long time because of the Israeli settlers who are actually in the old city of Khalil, they call it, or Hebron, where the person can't get step out of their house because of the Israeli settlers. They have to go from the back door or the back window to jump. Not only that, but they have these ugly yellow gates, they call it iron gates, everywhere in the city. Most of the city has been emptied from all the shops for the Palestinians. So these little children, when they go to school, when I was speaking to them yesterday, they said, Auntie, when we go to school, they stop us in the checkpoints and they don't let us go to our school. So we go to our school late, or sometimes we don't go at all because of this iron gate. And sometimes they abuse us, they say bad words to us, and sometimes they punish us. So it's kind of a miserable life these little kids live. So the major aim of bringing them here is actually first to raise awareness of the children, British children who live here. That's why we're taking them to a school here in Birmingham. So to share their experience, what they're living with the children who live here. And the second thing for them to learn something about their own life and to appreciate something called freedom of movement, freedom of expression, which they don't have over there. If a child say anything bad to a settler, he or she might be killed in no time. And the thing is also to have a different experience, to experience the British life, and to have something when they go back, they can share with other children. And also what we do is they have, every year we support them to have in Hebron, we support them to have a summer camp. And this summer camp, they have lots of drawing and lots of beautiful things where they can share with the British kids over here who also have a drawing in their summer camp. So that's exchange of culture. They also bring with them, as I understood, they bring with them some kufiyas, some olive oil, some za'atar, and some ceramic from Hebron and from other places where the organization which invite them here can sell these things and raise money to bring them again. To my understanding, this year, this is the third mission for these kids. And they were absolutely fantastic. I spoke with the kids who were here last year, and they had a brilliant experience. One, if that's okay with you, if I can say that, one example, there was, my husband and I went to meet the kids with other people in one of these institutions. And I tried to speak to this little girl. She was around 11, and no, she's 13, I think. And she was standing there, and tried to speak with her in Arabic. I went down to her level. I didn't touch her. I didn't do anything. And I spoke with her in Arabic, and the little girl ran. And I was thinking, what did I do? What did I do wrong? So I went and asked the coordinators, what's happens to this girl? And they told me this girl has a story. And the story of this little girl, she was 7 years old, 5 years ago. And this little girl was going to her school in the morning, early morning. Strange settlers, Israeli settlers, kidnapped this little girl, put her in the back of their car, and wanted to run away. Luckily, some Palestinians were there, and they attacked the soldiers, and they liberated the girl. So since that time, this little girl, whenever a stranger like myself, even if I speak with her in the language she understands, she runs away. And that broke my heart. And when I spoke to the other children who come from there, they told me this is a normal experience for us.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because we have a similar situation in Kashmir, where you have an Indian occupation army, which is around 800,000 army occupies Kashmir. So if you go to Kashmir, any part of occupy, you'll see army barracks everywhere, army air. You can't pass, unless you face the Indian soldier with a gun.
Yeah.
And then now what India is doing is bringing in settlers from special settlers, those who hate Kashmiris, special settlers. And these settlers are used for violence. So I can understand, what you're saying, that, if you preach hatred, if you preach hatred, people, you hate this person because he's an Arab, you hate this person because he's a Palestinian, and that it's easy to preach hate. And, once hatred is there in their hearts and their minds, their behavior will change completely. Not normal human being, they'll behave, badly as they can. And we see this from the Hitler's, ideology, where he preached hatred for the Jews, and look what happened to the Jews. Because hatred shouldn't be there, because we are all human beings, we share this earth, we live together, we help one another, we don't go, occupy somebody else's land and take over and displace them. And that, unfortunately, the rules and the law that we have in this world are not properly, properly imposed or monitored, because like, the powers who've been colonizing, the countries for their own economic benefits. So, Brother Abdeen, what do you think, the settler violence which is perpetrated in Gaza as well as in West Bank, how can we highlight this, to the general public around here?
That is a good question, actually. And we have to know that what the settlers are doing in West Bank, that was one of the reasons of 7th of October. Because no many people have an idea about what the settlers are doing against Palestinians, how many Palestinians being killed by them, how many lands they have taken from Palestinians, how many olive trees they have broken for Palestinians. Nobody or the media didn't focus within the last 5 years all these bad activities for settlers against Palestinians. So, and this is including, or in addition of that, think about the settlement that they are trying to build in all areas, or in the most areas in the West Bank. So I think there is a good cooperation between the government and the security services and the settlers to establish their ideas and the dreams in West Bank, and to evacuate the West Bank and all Palestine actually from Palestinians. And the Palestinians understand all these plans, and they have no choice except resisting all of these activities from those people, or from those kind of a human being. That's what we can say about them. And we hope that the international community work together to stop all these aggression and unacceptable activity from those settlers.
Just if you don't mind me adding to that, which is very important, 300,000 olive trees has been uprooted since October 7. More than 30,000 trees has been uprooted recently. Olive trees is very important in the Palestinian history, because apart from being a source of income for people, for farmers, it's a source of pride. Interestingly, a study recently done about the Israelis, that 68% of the Israelis are allergic to olive trees, which is a very good news. Farmers now, when they go to harvest their olives, there are some activists, international activists, and some Israeli activists who go and try to help the Palestinians harvest their olives. And even sometimes when they harvest the olives, the Israelis steal the olives from them. We saw this so many times documented in the mainstream media, even, not in the social media. Sorry to interrupt. I hope that adds something.
Farooq Qadri Sahab, I was going to ask you, within our Pakistani Kashmiri community here in Britain, they feel that a lot of our governments, Arab governments especially, have failed the Palestinian people. They haven't, used their strength, which is, they can, with their economic power that they have, to try to persuade the Israelis that, they should stop what they're doing and, sit down and negotiate and, settle this issue peacefully. What do you think, why is it, silence from the Arab governments, from, rest of Muslim world, that, they're not proactive as they should be?
Definitely they have failed because powerful countries or they cannot face them. I don't know why, because of so many countries, but they are not facing one country or two countries. And I just can pray to Almighty Allah for the peace in the world, especially in Palestine and Kashmir. And the peoples are suffering, children are suffering, old peoples are suffering, sick peoples are suffering, and I don't know which sort of a treaty it's been signed, and still they are not letting the charity peoples to go in there to take the foods, medicine, or all the facility for day to day which we need it in the life, and it is a pity, and I strongly condemn that they should let it go. All the charity organizations and the peoples who the medicine and also the other aids they are taking in. Why it's it's everything is loaded and they don't let it go into the Palestinian peoples.
Brother Abdin, your background is medical, and as you know, there's a lot of suffering in Palestine recently. What has happened, during this war? So, what do you think? What can people with a medical background, associations, charities? I mean, there's a lot of charities here. I know, they said that they raise funds for Palestine and try to help relieve the poverty and also the suffering. So, do you think this charity that people give is it channeled through to the local people who are suffering?
I believe that it will be very helpful for those people if they are either donating for those charities who are sending medical delegations to Palestine, especially to Gaza. Myself, I've been in one of the medical delegations in 2009 during that war, the first war in Gaza, and also I've been there in 2014 with a medical delegation, and I know what's exactly running on the ground medically in Gaza. At that time, because they are under siege for a long time, they mostly needed for medicine and all these medical instruments and some specialty. But now we have no hospitals. They need hospitals. They need everything. They need theaters for surgical operations. They need all specialty, surgeons, nurses, technicians. So we hope all medical professionals in Europe, around the world, to participate in rescue Gaza, to go there in medical delegations and they to do their jobs, humanitarian jobs, because you are talking about many or thousands of injured and disabled now, and we are talking about missing almost all types of medications. So I think any charity will be very helpful at the moment. You are saving life. You're not just treating injured people or depressed people. You are saving life. And that's what we hope to be happened, supporting those people as soon as possible.
As you mentioned, that since this present so-called ceasefire, still Israeli army is killing people in Gaza and also destroying whatever is left and yet, world is still keeps silence. But anyway, I mean, a lot of people think that, oh, because there's a ceasefire, that, maybe peace will return. But what looks like it that, this conflict will carry on. And I know that end of this November there will be a protest in London. So what do you think? We should carry on, like you said, that struggle is carrying on. The Palestinian people haven't given up an inch of land. They they'll fight for their land, but it's their birthright, and every nation does that. And Palestinians are no different from other human beings. So I'm saying that we as ordinary people, maybe those who are listening to this program, that at the end of this month there will be a protest in London. We keep raising our voice, till Israel comes to his senses and sits down and properly negotiates the right of Palestinian people and their rights. And I think that will bring peace in the Middle East. Not this solution that Trump and the others are suggesting, that displacing people from their homeland and then creating more trouble for the future. What do you think?
I think. Are you asking me?
I'm not asking you. Yeah,
You're
sorry.
asking me.
Yeah.
I think the demonstration should continue, and I will repeat a statement from a friend of mine in Gaza, which says, لا تتعود المشهد, which means in English, don't get used to the scenery you've seen. And I re-emphasize the point I said earlier. Ceasefire doesn't mean peace. Peace means justice. As long as justice is not there, they will continue to have problems like what we have now. But our duty as civilians to continue supporting people from Gaza. I saw a scenery in Al Jazeera TV today, and there was this woman. As you know, there was a huge rain in Gaza, and this woman was standing out and crying and saying, please, where are the Arab world? Where are the Muslim world? Where are the humanity? Where is humanity? Please don't forget us. So therefore, it's our duty to continue fighting for the people and be their voice. We have a voice here. We have democracy here, as long as I remember. And we have to use this democracy, and we have to use our voices to fight for the rights for these people.
I agree completely with my sister. And actually, we have to keep continuing protesting and supporting Palestinians. Gaza at the moment is the main issue for Palestinians because of the disaster that happened by occupation. And we didn't forget that Al-Masjid al-Aqsa is still under occupation and the threat of the extreme right wing that happening daily basis in Jerusalem. Also, we didn't forget that we have more than 10,000 Palestinian prisoners are suffering in the Israeli prison. So we have to think that Palestine, all Palestine didn't liberate it yet. So ceasefire means nothing when we study the whole case as a package. So when we get our right as Palestinians, and then all the freedom supporters around the world are welcome to have their big party in Palestine. Until that time, we have to keep continuing our protesting and supporting Palestinians to stop and block this occupation forever. That's my opinion.
We have to continue being in touch with our humanity, because Palestine, Sudan, Kashmir, all these places which has currently going through war, I think we have to decide which side of history we are going to stand. And my opinion is we should stand in the right side of history, which is with the people who are humiliated and whose justice has not been done to them yet.
Dear viewers, we are coming to end of our program. I hope that we have learned something from our two guests, what is happening in Palestine, what is our responsibility as a human being, how to support those who are suffering. I think humanity demands it. If my neighbor is hungry and my stomach is full, and like Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that what sort of Muslim am I? That my stomach is full and my neighbor is hungry. And that's the sort of humanity we want, caring humanity. And if we care about this world, if we care about peace and justice, justice must be prevail for the people of Palestine. And inshallah, we carry on supporting Palestine. Palestine, freedom for Palestine.
Thank you.
Freedom for Palestine. And can I add something?
Please.
It's a fact that everybody should know that Palestine land is a charity. That means it's a waqf. It's an Islamic charity. What does it mean? That every single Muslim on the earth is responsible, has a share in Palestine and responsible to support and defend Palestine. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask every single one, what have you done in your share towards Palestine and Palestinians? Thank you.
Thank you very much, viewers, and we will inshallah see you next week with some other guests, and we will discuss bright future. Future will always be bright, if we do the right thing. Thank you.